serenity, and sanctity at the Dharma Drum Mountain World Center for Buddhist Education. Everywhere you look is a vision of undisturbed purity. All is neat and clean, simple and frugal, with a shared attitude that cherishes natural resources. A beautiful mind perceives beauty, and a pure mind perceives purity. Purifying our minds, within and without environmentalism, is the practice of beauty. Dharma Drum Mountain founder Master Sheng Yen often said environmental pollution is inseparable from human actions and human minds. So environmental protection has to start with a pure mind. Deal with sentient beings with compassion and attend to our affairs with wisdom. First of all, protect your own mind from afflictions and pollution, and then extend this idea to include care for society, the environment, and nature. To make environmental protection a reality, Master Sheng Yen established a basic policy for the construction of the Dharma Drum Mountain complex, based on simplicity, practicality, and ease of maintenance and upkeep. During the construction process, the first priority was preserving the original habitat and making the buildings fit into the surroundings while utilizing natural, sustainable energy sources. The grounds feature plants native to the area to protect all the living things that live on the mountain. The air we breathe comes from nature. When we are thirsty, the water we drink comes from nature. When we walk, our every step falls on Mother Earth. The earth is like our mother. It sustains and nourishes all creatures and allows us to enjoy them. So the natural environment is like a vast body we share in common, a home to all sentient beings, where they can live out their lives. We should be grateful, respect, protect, and cherish the natural environment, and help sustain natural resources so they will be there for future generations. A home of peace, health, and well-being. The Buddha Dharma is the Dharma of mind. The spiritual environment is well protected, so whenever you visit Dharma Drum Mountain, all that you see, in every moment, is a picture of delightful simplicity. In keeping with Master Sheng Yen's instructions, the architecture at Dharma Drum Mountain should be integrated with the natural environment. In principle, we followed Shifu's idea and adapted to the terrain. We used the original soil and stones to make soft mesh retaining walls in different shapes, using blocks or reinforcing materials. Over time, the walls will be covered with plants and blend in with the surroundings, providing both beauty and safety. With the simplicity of design, we embraced intrinsic architectural beauty. All the buildings have slanted roofs, covered with bronze tiles, without other ornaments. As bronze tiles naturally rust over time, they oxidize into a green hue, blending into the natural scenery, and so will appear to have sprung up from the soil. Embodying Dharma Drum Mountain's vision to uplift the character of humanity and build a pure land on earth, the architecture embraces practical spatial aesthetics with minimalist exterior lines and multi-purpose interior design. The Grand Buddha Hall, for example, can be used for daily practice and also for speeches, various Dharma services, and other larger events. For the landscaping work, we made the most of existing stones in the streams and large rocks washed down during typhoons. The banks of both streams, the stone landscaping throughout the complex, and the stone embankments all used these local materials, creating a natural landscape. Sometimes we did need a bit of concrete for the dredging work, regulating the stream flow using cataracts. We also made use of floodplain to create an intriguing landscape of waterfalls to beautify the environment. The complex has abundant groundwater, but drainage has to be handled well to ensure safety and utilize that water for the wells and landscapes. Rainwater can also be collected and reused. The waterfall and pool in the wish-fulfilling Guanyin Hall is the best example. To keep the wastewater in the complex from polluting the streams, we use biotreatment techniques before discharging the water, which also helps maintain the existing ecological diversity. The complex has two sets of stones carved with Master Sheng Yen's calligraphy, the Listen to the Stream set and the Appreciate the Water set. They remind us that at Dharma Drum Mountain, we should slow down a bit, appreciate the scenery of the streams, listen to the burbling brooks, wash away your vexations, feel the purifying power of Chan practice, and return to a place where the spiritual environment is protected. When Dharma Drum University decided to transplant trees, we investigated the different species. First, we categorized the trees and then assigned each one a number. We took care of those trees like they were human, so in transplanting, we didn't cut the trunks and pruned the roots in phases. After a tree is transplanted, we watch it for about 3 years. Besides watering it, we need to see how it's growing. If a branch dries out, we need to cut it off. We practice non-killing, so we use other means to ward off insects. For most gardening companies, transplanting even a single tree is a challenge, but we relocated over 800 trees. It was hard, but we did it because we put our minds to it. If we put our minds to it, we can do anything. The 7 banyan trees in front of the Library and Information Center are more than 100 years old, so Master Sheng Yen named them the 7 Tathagatas. Those trees are located where the library was supposed to be, but to protect life, the library was moved back so that the trees could continue to live. When studying in the library, people can see a world of green simply by lifting their heads. There is harmony between humans and nature, with no architectural barrier. The Taiwan lily, which blossoms year-round, is one of the plants that was reintroduced. As lilies signify peace and harmony, they reflect the ideals of Dharma Drum Mountain. Master Sheng Yen hoped this environment would serve an educational function, so we chose species that are simple and elegant, in lighter colors, preferably with some fragrance. We found that the lilies and Chinese hydrangea, native to the mountain, were suitable. And so we mobilized our volunteers to repopulate the mountain with lilies and Chinese hydrangea. Starting in 2002, it took 7 or 8 years before we were finally able to grow the lilies and Chinese hydrangea on the mountain to recreate the original natural scenery. The world in a grain of sand, a Tathagata in a flower, green bamboo and blossoming flowers are all forms of Tathagata teaching the Dharma. To know how to protect, respect every plant is how Buddhists protect the natural environment. as the Jinshan district has plenty of rain, especially in fall, winter, and the plum rain season. By making good use of the rainwater, we can reduce our reliance on tap water and avoid extracting groundwater. The complex's buildings thus have slanted roofs with gutters. These gutters gather rainwater that's collected in rainwater storage tanks before being distributed to flush toilets or irrigate the surrounding greenery. Some of the rainwater is channeled to a rain piggy bank system for future use. In addition, the recycled groundwater and rainwater provides the ecology pond with clean water to raise fish and shrimp. The life-protecting pool is a perfect spot to rest and appreciate the power of resilience. The Caoyan and Fayin streams have an abundance of pure, mineral-rich mountain water. Flowing in a gently winding course, they contain a richly varied aquatic ecosystem and unending viewing pleasure. To avoid polluting the surrounding streams, sedimentation basins were built to filter water to make sure the stream maintains its original purity. Before this land was developed, it had many trees. When typhoons came with their heavy rains, the trees would absorb some of the water and then slowly release it to the streams. But for the development, we had to remove some trees to make room for infrastructure. But that meant rainwater would flow downstream too fast. To prevent flash floods, we route rainwater to a detention pond. When the pond is full, the water will flow out from these 4 small holes. The size of the holes was carefully calculated to control the amount of drainage so that the water that flows in can be discharged slowly. With slow outflow, in small amounts, we can prevent sudden flooding and the damage done by rapidly rising waters. Many drops can form a river. We should cherish and protect our water resources. Even if one day there is no tap water on the mountain, there is still groundwater, well water, stream water, and rooftop rainwater that can be recycled and used to sustain the vibrant lives of all the creatures living here. The light sources in the complex follow 4 major principles: natural, ecological, energy efficient, and healthy. We use only what is necessary and make the most of green energy, such as natural light, solar power, and wind power, to enhance contact between humans and nature. We use casement windows for both public and office spaces, as they can be opened completely to provide optimum ventilation. They can be adjusted to catch seasonal breezes and bring them into the buildings. The abundance of windows also makes natural light and outdoor views accessible from inside, so visitors can breathe together with nature. Whether in motion or at rest, people can feel tranquil and calm, take in spacious views, and naturally feel an atmosphere of cultivation. The light for our workspaces is half the amount needed for most other places, around 600 to 800 candle power. Non-work areas, such as rest areas and corridors, only use about 1/8 as much, around 50 to 80 candle power. With lower lighting, these spaces naturally feel more serene than other places, so people feel settled and calm, and visitors naturally lower their voices. As the sun sets and the moon rises, when looking down from above, the cluster of buildings at Dharma Drum Mountain don't compete with the moonlight, but simply remain serene, peaceful, and quiet against the dark night sky. For outdoor landscape lighting, we use energy-efficient LED light bulbs, which provide even lighting for the whole complex, without leaving some corners dark, giving us gentle light like the moon that is calming and peaceful. The Lotus Sutra's chapter on the Universal Gate says, "His undefiled pure light illuminates the whole world, so we have all the illumination we need." The Dharma Drum Mountain Sangha uses organic cultivation methods. They use no pesticides or herbicides and make compost from cut branches and shredded wood. The complex uses homemade compost and organic fertilizers for cultivation and gardening, and uses mostly locally produced food to cut down on long-distance transport, a way of life that reduces our carbon footprint. To maintain harmony between the buildings and nature, the complex uses eco-friendly fencing, using shrubs native to Taiwan to make soft fences that are also green. Oldham eleagnus, orange jasmine, and Aglaea odorata, which attract birds and insects, are the main species that were planted. This stretch of 9-meter retaining wall is built of stone held in place with mesh, and reeds and ferns have grown up through the cracks. Emphasizing preservation of the ecology, Dharma Drum Mountain has restored the environment to its natural state prior to development. Now the mountain has become increasingly vibrant with lush greenery, where native creatures thrive in harmony and flourish in safety. There are no trash cans in the outdoor areas of the complex. This is to encourage our visitors to join in our recycling efforts, the practice of environmental protection. The Chan way of life is simple and modest. It doesn't destroy or pollute our natural environment or waste natural resources, but helps us learn to be content with few desires, and thus always happy, living a life of calm, purity, and wisdom. Chan is the Buddha Dharma, and the Buddha Dharma is the Dharma of the mind. Dharma Drum Mountain promotes protecting the spiritual, social, living, and natural environments, with protecting the spiritual environment at the core. Protecting the spiritual environment is to transform our thinking so that our minds are not disturbed by the external environment, and we can face and deal with reality with a healthy mindset, remaining calm, serene, and clear. So to practice protecting the four environments is to train ourselves to cultivate the compassion and wisdom of Chan teachings. The Vimalakirti Sutra says, as the mind is purified, the Buddha land is purified. Environment protection is a way of thinking, a way of life, an attitude. It is an attitude when interacting with others and our behavior in how we treat the environment. All this has to start with and be based on protecting the spiritual environment.